The latest Calgary real estate stats are in and the market still running. And the pace is fast. Whew, the pace is so fast, in fact, like me, you need time to catch your breath. And for buyers and sellers, there's some data that suggests that there are a couple of segments where they're having trouble with affordability, or at least the numbers show that affordability is an issue. In this video, I'm not going to get super tactical. I'm not going to bore you with details, but I am going to give you the reason why your home has probably gone up in Calgary lately, and also how long it'll take you to sell in this market. I'll also be going over a couple of things from this latest data that I really wasn't expecting. Well, more to that in a minute. Evergreen has a lot of cool family-oriented pathways, parks, green spaces. So if that's something you really love, this is a community in the Southwest that you should definitely consider. But I'm not here to talk about that right now. All right, let's get to it. Stick around to the end, or I'll give you my thoughts on what I think the biggest takeaway is from those stats. But first, I gotta get out of these shoes and into something a little more businesslike. That feels so much better. For the record, I am realjtincher. I'm an agent with Real Broker here in Calgary. I have connections across Canada and North America. And if you like what you see on this channel, I'd love for you to subscribe. And hey, if you want to get into anything more in-depth or take a deep dive on something further with real estate or Calgary life in general, there's a Calendly link below and we can schedule our own 30-minute call. On the more technical side of things, I don't want to do the whole video with my earbuds. It's gotten a bit cloudy out now, as you can see. So let's head in to the mobile office. Okay, let's get these out, put them away. Welcome to my mobile office. So in Calgary right now, and I've been here since 1984, and I never really thought that it would come to this. We are at a benchmark price of just under $604,000. And that means that if you take, say, your average 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom house, plunk it into an area, that's typically what you're going to pay for that style of property. Believe it or not, that's up 1% basically over last month. So there has been a slight increase in the value of probably what your home is now. And it's taking 21 days or less, still in Calgary, to sell your home. List it to sale. Now, is that happening faster in some cases? Absolutely. Some homes are going in hours. Some are going in days with multiple offers. Some is taking a bit longer. Depends on the price point, but when we kind of blanket and go across the board, 3 weeks or less, and your home should be worth about 1% more than it was last month. Year over year, we're up about 10, almost 11%. So if you can imagine, if you had bought last year, yeah, okay, great, Jeff. We bought last year. We've got more equity now. Our home's worth more. And I think that's great. But for some, they're saying, well, I would have waited. I would have seen what interest rates were going to do. And that's not really affecting my position right now. Now, to be fair, those that didn't wait, like I said, they're sitting in a bigger equity position, probably provided they're in for the right reasons. They didn't overspend. They're not crazy with their monthly payment. So it just depends on that side of the equation. But it also means that if you're going to sell and then you're looking to buy on the other side of things, you're going to be paying about 10 or 11% more than you did last year around this time. So it's kind of a catch-22 for some, where they're saying, hey, I'm going to stay put because I don't really want to spend more dollars to move up. And there's others that are saying, hey, I've made a lot of equity in the last few years, including last year. Now I'm going to take that and either downsize, maybe I'm transferring out of the city, maybe I'm going to look to use that equity to put on something to move up because I'm in a position where I have some money to do that I never had before. And here's where I feel it gets really interesting. So basically, Calgary has seen an influx in inventory. That is awesome. However, hold the phone, because most of that is happening in the 700 and above, so we're talking 700,000 and above sector of Calgary's real estate and surrounding area. So what that probably means for you is, let's say you wanted to move up and you wanted to get something above 700,000. Well, there should be more to choose from. In that same vein, the issue is that there's a lot less inventory in that 450,000 to 650,000 range because it keeps getting purchased, because also that's the affordable sector. Now, where that becomes an affordability issue is we're now at the point in Calgary where it's really tough to find a single family detached home under $500,000 that isn't a complete fixer-upper or something that is just out of the price range for some. You're looking at 500 and above for single family detached as a benchmark or an indicator. What's also interesting to me at the moment is the Canadian government is set to alter or change the capital gains tax such that if you make a certain amount of equity or you have a certain amount of equity in your home, and we'll say you're going to have a gain of $250,000 or more, the Canadian government is set to tax you more on that when you sell that property, especially in this rental market, if you're an investor and all those different things. What does that mean for affordability when you've worked hard on your property, keep your nest egg, and you're going to be giving more to the government? If those properties are suddenly going to come to the market because people want to beat the deadline and sell what they can sell and make the most money before they're having to fork over more to the government, will that mean more listings come to the market? We'll have to wait and see. It could also be the flip side where people say, well, I'm going to hold on to this property longer until I've reached basically that ceiling of where I'm not going to get taxed more for it, but it's going to take longer for that to happen. Or I'm going to wait and see what the government does, and those properties never come to the market, which again brings us back to this affordability thing of if people looking in the affordable price brackets of $250,000 to $350,000 in the condo side, and then of course that alluded to earlier, we'll call it $500,000 now into $675,000, $650,000 for the affordable single family detached market, but there just isn't more inventory over time because it's shrunk or we're still struggling to catch up. There's going to be so many people that will then say, okay, I'm going to sit it out, wait, and go into the rental market, which is already saturated, which is already high in Calgary. And there's going to be some people that say, fine, I'll just go and pay this certain amount for this just to get that property. But really, it's coming down to how affordable is it for some as the prices continue to shift upwards and trend upwards and don't go anywhere anytime soon because there's just not that much inventory that's come back to the market to alleviate that. Another stat that blows my mind, and this is one I was, like I said, not expecting, condo sales. They are taking up 30% of active sales in our market right now. If you'd have been in this city, let's say 2018 to 2020 before COVID hit, condos were not a thing. Condos were slow. Story time, I'm in that 30% of condo buyers, condo market activity in Calgary, currently working with several different buyers, one of which right now we finally got a conditional offer accepted. Condo docs, inspection, and financing. But man, it's been a tough go. We're talking several months of looking at properties, offering on multiple properties and getting denied, but we didn't give up. And so definitely I myself am a living example of that. And there are lots of agents in the city in the same boat because there are people that are looking for first-time property purchases. There are people that are looking at investment condos. And because of the affordability and prices creeping up and lack of inventory, we've talked about that a lot, but I'll say it again, and then the rental market as well, putting the squeeze on buyers. This condo market is hot here. So fast forward the clock now when we've got multiple provinces and people moving here from other countries, from other provinces like I alluded to, and they're looking at investment potential, or when it comes to affordability, because they've been priced out of even the townhouse sector. They've been priced out of single family detached or duplexes. They're now looking in that condo sector. We have this active market there now, and the inventory there, while there is more, we're still competing with rental only buildings. We're competing with good product that comes to the market. And then that has prices there trending upwards as well right now. So the benchmark price that's increased to around that $350,000 mark now for something that's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath property in Calgary, that may and probably will creep up as the demand still continues. We don't have a ton of extra properties for vacation rentals and things like that. But what is interesting is that 30% is a big number when you consider how many transactions are taking place in Calgary right now. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that people say, okay, if I'm going to get into something for now I can't get into what I want later. Is there a condominium style property that makes sense for me in the interim that I can either buy and hold to rent out, or I can move into personally, so I don't have to put 20% down right away, or I'm not gonna get taxed on it more, to kind of tide me over until the dust settles in this Calgary market. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the satellite communities in and around Calgary, which have all been on the upswing for these last several years for sure. Because if people can't and don't want to afford what's happening in Calgary, they're looking on the outside. If I look at my notes, we'll start with Chestermere. Chestermere is up to a benchmark price of $696,500. That's up 6.3% year over year. They have a higher benchmark because you've got a lake community. There are some high-end properties that sell there. So typically you're finding that benchmark price higher than even what it is in Calgary, keeping in mind that there's less inventory overall than some of the other satellite communities. Like, let's use Okotoks for example, just to the south of Calgary. $617,200 is their current benchmark price. That's up 7.9% year over year. Every one of these communities is experiencing, how else will I describe it? Inventory shortage. Tired of hearing it? Well, it's still happening. In Airdrie, their benchmark price, $549,100. That's up 10.4% year over year. Supply there continues to be super low. For those that are looking for that affordability in that $500,000 to $600,000 range, Airdrie has been very busy, but there's just not that much to choose from. Go figure. And then in Cochrane, out to the west of us, beautiful, beautiful town that's closer to the mountains. $561,000 is their current benchmark price. That's up 10.7% year over year. All of these communities, like I said, not that much to choose from in these price points between $500,000 to $650,000. Expect that to stay similar, and the properties there in those ranges are selling fairly quickly, so you have to get in fast. And I should also touch on the luxury market. For those of you out there that are concerned with that, you're in that bracket, well, what I'm noticing is that a lot of luxury properties, they're not selling overnight. And most times, nor should they. It's a big property, it's a big price point. It takes time to do your due diligence on that and figure out if that's what's gonna work for you. That being said, I'm noticing some properties that aren't going for full list. They're taking 3 weeks, sometimes a month, maybe a bit even longer to transact and to go firm sale. They're selling for prices that are less than what they're listed at, not too much. Again, it depends on the area that you're looking in. If you're on the west side of the city or out towards the west or the south, typically you're paying more for that luxury property, but it's not happening as quickly as it has maybe in months past. That's not to say that the market isn't still active. There are more sellers that are putting their properties onto the market to see what will happen. And there are some that are saying, we're gonna wait. We're gonna hold this for as long as we need to and see where things will go. So those are mostly my thoughts, not yours. I'd love to hear what you think. Drop a comment, send a like. Let me know what you think on affordability in Calgary and how the market's doing.